Good morning, and thank you for attending Flag Officer Briefing number 1, where today we'll be talking about how Veterans Affairs is defrauding the United States, how our Constitution is suspended, and the nation has been invaded by Esquires. On Monday, October 25th, 2021, I'm Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Rutluski, U.S. Army veteran and acute clearance holder. My avatar is Rob Ryder, and my email address is courtofrecord@aol.com. courtofrecord@aol.com. No S's are involved. And if you leave a message on the video, I cannot answer it because when I try to, both the question and the answer disappear. So if you want to contact me, it would have to be by email. And hopefully there's a flag officer or two that'll watch this video and get a clue what I'm talking about. Because these things I'm talking about happening, these could all be taken care of by a flag officer, a general officer, who is a court-martial convening authority to constitute a court-martial, right? A general court-martial and do an investigation. So I'm just going to show you some evidences, and hopefully that's enough to get a flag officer to sign his name to a piece of paper, his or her name. So what do we have here? So as evidence and proof of what I'm talking about, we're going to look at the non-national emergency COVID, the oath of offices that are supposed to be done that are not being done, sworn statements that cannot be done because there is nobody who's taking a proper oath of office except the military. Gold fringe flags and the fact that that's a military flag. It's only supposed to be in a military office. In fact, the only public place that's supposed to have a flag in the United States has to be affiliated with the military, be it the post office or court building or federal building or whatever it is. Right? If they have a flag in the United States displayed, then that building is under the jurisdiction of the military. And then finally, Veterans Affairs, who by not providing all of the benefits available to veterans is defrauding the United States. And because a veteran is still in the military, it's defrauding the armed forces of the United States, which puts it under the UCMJ. And as an example of things not being done, I mean, this is the one nearest and dearest to my heart because veterans get to have so much authority in a martial law government of the United States if we were able to put in a sworn statement, affidavit, whatever it is, that has been properly executed under the seal of the Department of Veterans Affairs. So anyways, in Title 38 of Code of Federal Regulations, 2.3 is the delegation of authority to employees to take affidavits, administer oaths, etc. And so basically an employee who is authority is delegated by the Secretary in accordance with all these different laws is by virtue of such delegated authority, until such authority is revoked or otherwise terminated, empowered to take affidavits, to administer oaths and affirmations, to aid claimants in the preparation and presentation of claims, and to make investigations, examine witnesses, certify correctness of papers and documents upon any matter within the jurisdiction of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Such employee is not authorized to administer oaths in connection with the execution of affidavits relative to fiscal vouchers, and is not authorized to take acknowledgments to policy loan agreements, applications for cash surrender value of United States government life insurance, and national life insurance, and national service life insurance. Okay, but other than those few things, they can take it for anything else within the on any matter within the jurisdiction of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Okay, and then any such oath, affirmation, affidavit, or examination, when certified under the hand of any such employee by whom it was administered or taken, and authenticated by the seal of the Department of Veterans Affairs, may be offered or used in any court of the United States, and without further proof of identity or authority of such employee, shall have like force and effect as if administered or taken before a clerk of such court. right? So this isn't just for internal use in the VA. This is for a veteran to use in a court of the United States, right? So if I wanted to point out that there's an offense against the United States, right, I should be able to go to the VA, have them take my sworn statement, which includes an affidavit, and this particular employee, whoever it is, the person they're hiding, should be able to administer it under his and certified under his own hand, and then authenticated by the sealed Department of Veterans Affairs. I can go put it into court, right? Because you cannot do this now. You cannot go to court and have the clerk give you an oath of office or give you an oath to satisfy the requirements. They won't do it. Now, if you know what button to push, maybe you can get it done. But if you're just walking up to the counter troll at the counter, they're not going to do it for you. They're going to tell you to go see a notary. Well, a notary public can only authenticate or, what's the proper use word, certify private matters between private individuals, not state matters. And these are matters of the state, right? So we need to have this authority. Now, whoever this employee is, the delegated authority to the employee from the secretary to take affidavits, administer oaths, etc., will be evidenced by VA Form 4505. So I'm looking for an employee that has a VA Form 4505. Now, I've been trying for over a month to have the Battle Creek Medical Center tell me who this employee is that's been delegated this authority. And they can't do it, won't do it. Right? So there's something going on. And I'm about ready to call the VA police and try to file an incident report because of the violation. But in the meantime, I said, well, I got to tell the flag officers this because, again, because they're not doing this, this is affecting the armed forces of the United States, who veterans are. You become a veteran 90 days after 90 days of active duty in the military. The evidence of that is if you've served 90 days active duty during wartime, if it was peacetime, it'd be 180 days, but 90 days now because we're at war. You can get a VA loan for a house. Well, if you can get a VA loan for a house, then you can get all VA benefits. Right? You're entitled to everything. And you're a veteran, you're still in the military. Now, I have a DD-214 that says I'm not on active duty anymore. It has all sorts of errors in it, so it really isn't a DD-214, it's just the title of one. But beyond that, that didn't release me from the custody and control of the military. For that to happen, you have to have an order. And I've not gotten a discharge order. I don't know any veteran that's gotten a discharge order. We've all been put on leave or said we're going to the reserves or some other blah blah. But at the end of the day, the form it was done on has too many errors on it to be official. And, this is the work of Esquires, right, which are Crown agents, right? An Esquire is an agent of the Crown. And in the Esquire-controlled United States of America, they want everybody else to be a Mr. Because a Mr. is a lower class in the British system than an Esquire, and so you have no rights. Right? So they want you to be, like myself, Mr. Retluski. And I say, nay, 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 right? If we're going to use titles, you can call me Staff Sergeant. That's my rank. It hasn't been taken. I'm not a civilian. Once you take an oath of office, you're never a civilian again. Unless you get a discharge order. Don't have one. Okay, so how we're going to prove this then is we're going to take a little time to look at the non-national emergency, COVID-19, whatever the name is that we need to give it, and how this whole thing has played out for the last year and a half since January of 2020. And, it's the biggest farce in the world. So give me a minute to load a few pieces of paper up here and we'll talk about it. Give me just a second. But before we begin, I'd like to say that if you went to my YouTube channel, which is Rob Ryder with 3 B's, ROBBBRYDER, anything I'm going to talk about in this video, I've already talked about. This is nothing new, right? In any of these many, many videos that I have done over the last 8-9 years, right? So, and almost every video I do, almost all parts of every video I do is just me reading what they have written right in the law and then analyzing it. I'm not trying to make up my own story. I'm trying to use what's already been written. So let's, begin with what was written. So back in, this is from March 2020, the state of Michigan, Office of the Governor, issued an executive order, number 2020-4, which was a declaration of state of emergency, in which it said that COVID-19 had been identified as the cause of the outbreak of respiratory illness, first detected in Wuhan City in Hubei Province, China. Person-to-person spread of the virus has occurred in the United States, with some of those occurring in people with no travel history and no known source of exposure. Well, I wonder how that could happen. On January 31st, 2020, the United States Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar declared a public health emergency for COVID-19, and the affected state, local governments have also declared states of emergency. And it goes on to tell more about it. But when we, get to the end, we see that it was signed by a person calling themselves Gretchen Whitmer, governor. And it has this pretty gold seal on here that says the Great Seal of the state of Michigan in all uppercase, starting with the word the. And it was filed with the Secretary of State on 3/10/2020. All right. Well, a few days later, on March 13th, 2020, we get declaring a national emergency concerning the novel coronavirus disease outbreak by the President of the United States of America, in which, at the time this was Trump, is saying that basically the same thing as what the governor said. The Secretary of Health and Services declared a public health emergency on January 31st, 2020, under Section 319 of the Public Health Code, or Public Health Service Act, which is 42 U.S.C. 247D. Okay, and so here is President, United States of America. But down here, it's now Donald J. Trump, there, President of the United States. What happened to the President of the United States of America? Where did he go to? Right, we use United States of America again. And, this is important because if you go back to the Treaty of Peace of 1783, or Treaty of Paris, Treaty of Peace, whatever the proper name is, 1783, where King George III is stating the things that he owns at the beginning, which include the United States of America, right? He says that's his. And then you read the actual treaty, and it talks about the United States of America and the United States as being two separate entities. Right? So, I guess one person is the President of the United States of America and also the President of the United States. Now, unfortunately, the person taking the oath to be the President of the United States of America / President of the United States isn't taking the oath that's in the second article of the Constitution of the United States. The guy who's acting as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court added words to the oath. And the best example of that is just go watch this video, General Berger, Court Martial Joe Biden, and I'll explain it all to you. Right? But you don't really have time to do that in this video, or they get too long and people lose interest. So hang on a second. Okay, but based on this, there's supposed to be a declaration someplace, right, that the Secretary Alizar declared. Now, you can find a press release. Secretary Alizar declares public health emergency for the United States for 2019 novel coronavirus. Right? And here it says Health and Human Services Secretary Alex M. Azar II declared a public health emergency for the entire United States to aid the nation's healthcare community responding to the 2000 novel coronavirus. Now, if we go back and look at the EO from the governor, she said it was Alex Alizar, not Alex M. Alizar II. So this, there is no Human Service Secretary, Health and Human Service Secretary Alex Alizar. It's Alex M. Alizar II, according to the press release. right? But this is a press release. This isn't, like in the Federal Register, where anything that is official action of the executive branch of the government goes into. No, it's not in there. And they got a picture of some guy that I'm assuming is Secretary Azar, because it says so, signs a public health emergency declaration, but doesn't have any number on it. He doesn't say which one it is. He's just signing a public health emergency declaration. Okay, well, what do we have else we can look at? Well, you can go and Google public health emergency and find that there's actually a public health emergency website from the government, right, which has public health emergency declarations. Okay. Well, let's go down here then, and here's all the dates, right? So he's issued quite a few of these. Right? It's not uncommon for them to be issued. Let's find the one we're looking for. January 31st, 2020. Hey, this is a determination that a public health emergency exists. So as a result of confirmed cases of 2019 now novel coronavirus, on this date, after consultation with public health officials as necessary, I, Alex M. Azar II, Secretary of Health and Human Services, pursuant to the authority vested in me under Section 319 of the Public Health Service Act, do hereby determine that a public health emergency exists and has existed since January 27, 2020. But notice that it has not been signed, right? When they use this electronic signature symbol, which is 2 slashes with an S in between it, then the name has to be here. This name below is just like the date. It's not the date. The date's above the line, right? This is just telling you where to put the date. And this is saying the signature above is that signature is Alex M. Azar II. But there's no signature. Well, ain't that some shit? Let's go look at the Federal Register, see what the man did. Right, so I put in Alex M. Azar II and made it from December 1st, 2019 to March 1st, 2020. And there were 26 documents filed. And here's one saying that's a determination of a public health emergency, but it's dated, February 7th, 2020, not January 31st. Okay, do we have one for January 31st? Let's keep looking. No. There's the 30th. That's getting closer. No. I don't see any anywhere for the 31st of January. So he didn't put one in. But it did say he put one in, a declaration that went in on February 7th. So now let's go back here and see if we have a declaration, right? Public health emergency declaration for the 7th. Well, where were these? Are in order, right, by date. So there's January 30th, and we go to April. So there is nothing in here for February 2nd. So he didn't put it in this list, right? But what is it he put in? Determination of public health emergency. Let's go take a look. The Secretary of Health and Human Services is issuing this notice pursuant to Section 564 of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. On February 4, 2020, the Secretary determined, so this is a different date. Remember before it was on January 31st. Determined pursuant to his authority under 564 of this act that there is a public health emergency that has a significant potential to affect national security or the health and security of United States citizens living abroad, and that involves a novel coronavirus first detected in Wuhan City. Okay, so this is, a different determination using a different act than the one that's in the proclamations that were issued by the governor and the president to say we're under a national emergency. Right? The one that they're claiming was used isn't the one that was used by the secretary, and it's not on the same date. And if you read this, what it's about, this is about there being a chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear agent or agents, right? This is a declaration of war, basically, right? We've been attacked by a chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear agent, which is a whole different Ricky Lake show than what they were talking about in this executive order, right? This isn't talking about us being at war, being under attack from a chemical weapon or biological weapon. Well, that's not all. If we go down further now, let's just talk about this for a second. This seal here is a counterfeit of the Great Seal of Michigan, because Michigan has an act, right? It's called the Great Seal Act, and the description says that the Great Seal shall be comprised of the coat of arms of the state, around which shall appear the words Great Seal of the State of Michigan, with a date in Roman numerals, right? But there is no word "the," and most of the words are lowercase, except for the word Michigan. Well, that's not what this seal is. So this seal is not the seal of Michigan, the state. It's the seal of State of Michigan, which is some fucking corporation, right? Gretchen Whitmer is not the governor of the state of Michigan, where this Great Seal is, right? And in fact, Gretchen Whitmer is not this person's full legal name, and neither is Jocelyn Benson, who, she's actually the one signing for the governor. I don't know what the hell this is up here, but it says by the governor, and then it has Jocelyn Benson signing, and then she's signing for the governor, like she's the governor. Well, the reason for that is because Gretchen Whitmer didn't take the proper oath of office to be the governor of Michigan. And this is where, we get into all this crazy stuff about what's going on. So, more on that in just a second. Hang on. So, actually, before all this fiasco started with the coronavirus, right, I had in August, they were talking about December, the coronavirus showed up. Well, back in August, I sent a FOIA request to to Michigan's FOIA office asking for the oaths of Gretchen Whitmer. Written request for an image of the oaths of office subscribed by Gretchen Whitmer for the office of governor of the state of Michigan and its commander-in-chief. Right, to which I got an answer from Jocelyn Benson, Secretary of State, saying, the public records, your request for Governor Gretchen Whitmer's oath of office is granted as to existing non-exempt records that have been determined to be responsive to your request. Excellent. What did you give me? Well, it says it's an oath of office. Okay, and it has these words, which technically are the same words, same letters, as what's in the Constitution of Michigan of 1963, which, that has the oath, says this is the oath needed to take to hold state office. Except that in the oath, or in the Constitution, right, Constitution of the state is not capitalized. It's all lowercase, right? So they changed the form of the oath, and they changed the grammar of the oath by capitalizing the C on Constitution, the S on state, right? So the style of the oath, Constitution of state, is changed from what it is in the Constitution of Michigan, which is lowercase Constitution of state, so thus changing the meaning of the statement. And it goes on to say the name printed or typed in the signature, right? Well, her name isn't Gretchen Whitmer. Her name is Gretchen Esther Whitmer, who's concealing her full legal name identity by using Gretchen Whitmer. Well, that under the articles or the DOD Law War Manual would be a sign of a spy. When you don't use your proper identification, that's a sign that you're a spy. And then on top of it, it was sworn and subscribed before a notary. Well, a notary is unqualified to administer an oath of office to the governor. So says Michigan Compiled Law, MCL 1536 and MCL 1537. Right? So a notary can't give an oath to the governor. So this oath isn't for the governor of Michigan, right? The thing that's using this seal here, It's a counterfeit to simulate a legal process, right? So that Gretchen Esther Whitmer can impersonate the governor of Michigan. Now, right, this is the oath that the state says she's supposed to take. But we're not quite done yet, because that may be fine, but the federal government had something to say about oaths of office too. So hang on just a second. So the Constitution of the United States, which this is what I'm looking at here, is the thing we call a pocket constitution, right? It's the one you can get when you're in the military, and it says on there it's the Constitution of the United States. This is the Constitution I'm using. People will tell you there's 3 different constitutions, blah 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 blah. I really don't care. The differences are in the amendments, and I'm not talking about the amendments. I'm talking about the articles, the Constitution. And the Constitution says in Article 6, Section 3, that the senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of several state legislatures and all, A-L-L, all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath of affirmation to support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. That's pretty self-explanatory. That would mean the governor has taken oath to satisfy the 6th article of the Constitution. Well, come to find out that the first law passed by Congress after the ratification of the Constitution, commonly known as 1 Stat, for statutes at large, 23, so it's on the first book of the Statutes at Large, Volume 1, Statutes at Large, page 23. But its actual name is an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths, in which it says that the oath of affirmation required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States, that would be the pocket constitution, shall be administered in the form following, to wit, I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm, the case may be, that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That's all there is to it. Now, it didn't say you could add anything to it. It said in the following form. So you have to do this as a standalone oath of office. If your state wants you to do an oath of office for a state office, well, you got to do that one too. But you have to do this one separately, because you could have to take more than one oath of office. As we'll see, it's done quite commonly, based on the documents that we can read. Now, on top of that, if you go down here, it says that all officers appointed or hereafter to be appointed under the authority of the United States shall, before they act in their respective office, take the same oath or affirmation, which shall be administered by the person or persons who shall be authorized by law to administer such oaths, such officers their respective oath of office, and such officers shall incur the same penalties in case of failure as shall be imposed by law in case of failure of taking their respective oath of office. So it's up to the person to make sure this is done. It's nobody's fault but their own if they have not done this. Well, they haven't done it. Right? Now, later, after we got, enough statutes at large, and then they codified them and called it the United States Code. Well, they took this particular section and they put it in Title 4 of the United States Code, which has to do with the states. And in Section 101, so this is now 4 USC, United States Code, Section 101, every member of state legislature, every executive and judicial officer of a state shall, before he proceeds to execute the duties of his office, take the oath, an oath in the form following, to wit, it's got the same words. Right? Now, this is in 61 Stat 643. Now, things about statutes at large, real quick, is that in 1 USC 112, where it talks about statutes at large, contents, admissibility, and evidence, that the United States statutes at large shall be legal evidence of laws, concurrent resolution, treaties, international agreements, other than treaties, proclamations by a president, proposed or ratified amendments to the Constitution of the United States, wherein they're contained in all courts of the United States, in the several states, and the territories, and insular possessions of the United States. In other words, if you put a statute at large in a court case, it's evidence that that's what the law is. Okay, so this is the law that they had to do this particular oath. I state your name, full legal name, do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States. Well, they're not doing this. Right? That's not the oath that Whitmer took. And, as we'll see now, we're going to look at the congressional record, right? Which this is for this last Sunday, January 3rd, 2021, the first day of the session, where blah, 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 blah. Eventually, we're going to get down here. They're going to talk about doing oaths of office. Give me just a second to find it. Okay, again, this is the congressional record for the House section. It's not for the Senate, just for the House. Where we get down to here, where Mr. Young then administered the oath of office to Ms. Pelosi of California as follows. Right? Do you solemnly swear that you will support Constitution, support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign, domestic, yada, yada, yada. Which is almost the oath that's in 5 U.S.C. 3331. But it's not quite because they didn't put I with the name in there. But you can see it says, so help me God, and that this is not the same words of the oath that's in 1 Stat 23. So this is not the oath required to be a member of Congress. Right? And technically, this oath here is the oath that was administered to persons that had been involved in the Civil War on the Confederate side. So after, we went to an armistice, they could hold an office in the state or, represent the state back in Congress. Right? So this is an oath of a former enemy of the United States. Well, this is the one they take. She took it, and then she's going to give it to Mr. Young, and then she's going to give it to everybody else. Let's see. Speaker administered the oath of office to Mr. Young as follows. So I'm not sure how Mr. Young could give it to her and then she'd give it to him, but that's what they did. Hang on here. Yeah, okay. Here's where she finally gets around to swearing in the members, and they're taking the same oath. So none of these people are taking the proper oath. Now that was on the 3rd. For whatever reason, they do it again on the 28th. And I just wanted to show this again, because in here, on the 28th, they're showing the names that apparently they put on their oaths. All right, now this is after an adjournment for the day, right? So we're done for the day. This is on the 28th, and we're going to come back on February 1st. But it looks like, the oath of office required by the 6th article of the Constitution, and as approved by the section to be administered to members, the text of which is carried in 5 U.S.C. 3331. Now, this said, right, the 6th article of the Constitution, comma, and as provided. So these are two different oaths, right? The 6th article oath and the oath that's under this May 13th, 1884, which is the one I was telling you about. This is like an ironclad oath, they called it. Right? Where here it says, IAB, do solemnly swear. Right? Now it has the proper words in. But that isn't what they did here. Right? They didn't put their name in. It's just, do you solemnly swear? So they didn't do the oath right. And it's the wrong oath on top of it. Right? This is the oath for 5 U.S.C. 3331. And then just really quickly, this is 5 U.S.C. 3331, right? An individual except the president elected or appointed to an office of honor or profit in the civil service or uniformed services shall take the following oath. Well, right, the Congress isn't the civil service, and the Congress is, isn't the uniformed service. But these people are taking this oath, so they're really not the Congress. They're either an office of honor or profit in the civil service, or they're in the uniformed services, which puts them under the jurisdiction of the military. And it goes on to say that this section does not affect other oaths required by law, excuse me, which would be the one for 1 Stat 23. So, there you go. They're not taking the proper oath of office. So these are all frauds against the United States, which is covered under Article 132 of the UCMJ. Right? So these people are pretending to be the government. And so, it's a court-martial offense. The fact that the Whitmer is pretending to be the governor, and then because he's the governor, is ex officio the commander-in-chief, well, that's a frickin' where is it? Right? It's a fraudulent enlistment, appointment, or separation. Right? Because she's not the governor, so she can't be the commander-in-chief. Mutiny and sedition, espionage, aiding the enemy, right? Spies, all of these things are being done by these people pretending to be the government. Now, this includes all members of Congress, all members of your state legislatures, all the judges, whether they're federal or state, all the justices, federal or state, your frickin' county commissioners, township supervisors, anybody who's claiming an office in the government had to take an oath to satisfy the 6th article, or they don't have any authority in the United States. And they have to do it before they, exercise the powers of their office. Right? Before he proceeds to execute the duties of his office. So anybody who's in court, in any court, if the judge hasn't done this, then the judge is not a judge with any authority on the United States. And why are we answering to them? Right? Because they're not a judge. They're an esquire. Right? And so is the esquire out there that is for the defense and for the plaintiff. They're all esquires. And esquires are, that's a freaking crown officer. Or crown agent, not an officer, crown agent. They're not even an officer. They're just an agent acting for the crown. Okay, so that's a little bit on oath of office. Again, I've done many videos on this in much more detail, but just so I can say I've talked about it today. Now a little bit on sworn statements, right? Which is, this is how you get things done, is by a sworn statement. If you're not going to swear to your complaint, then why should somebody have to answer it? Well, if your complaint is that somebody has violated the laws of the United States, then the United States has to be the one that witnesses your sworn statement. So that's, what this is. This is the one used by the Army. Right? Where you, put in your information, and I want to make the following statement under oath. And you go on and you make your statement, and you get to the end and you do an affidavit. Right? Which is, you sign it here, and then this is the person here that's administering the oath. And so since this is a military form, then somebody from the military would have to do this, like a general officer or a company commander or whoever has the authority under the UCMJ to issue oaths for the UCMJ. Right? But it's not a notary public. Right? So if I want to put one in to say, this is the Army now, I just say to the government of the United States, well, then I have to have one where the affidavit is witnessed by somebody that has the authority to represent the United States. Well, that's who the guy in the VA has. Right? Because he can take your oath, and he can do it under the seal of the Department of Veterans Affairs. And the Department of Veterans Affairs is a member of the cabinet of the United States, right? So, basically the Department of Veterans Affairs is the agent of veterans, and we have a cabinet level agent, but they're the employees, led by the Esquires, are not allowing us to use the full authority that's been given by the United States to the Veterans Affairs for the use of veterans, which means they're defrauding the United States. The United States wanted us to have this authority, and we're being denied. And so I'm just saying, well, if the VA won't do it, generals, then you should be able to do it for me. Right? You should be able to do this section right here. I don't care if you're a retired general. There is no such thing as being out of the military. Right? You have the authority to do it. That's my belief. Right? And if not, well, you can get on the phone and make a phone call and get somebody to do it. right? So I don't care who I complain to first to get it going. I just want to do a sworn statement because otherwise it's just hearsay, right? Something that's under the seal. In fact, I should go get that law. Hang on, one more. So in the Federal Rules of Evidence, it says in Section 9, authentication, identification, right? Authenticating or identifying evidence. Satisfy the requirements of authenticating and identifying an item of evidence, the proponent must produce evidence sufficient to support finding that the item is what the proponent claims it to be. And then it gives these examples, all right? Testimony of a witness, expert opinion, da-da-da-da. And then it goes down here, evidence that it is self-authenticated, 902, right? The following items of evidence are self-authenticating. They require no intrinsic evidence or authenticity in order to be admitted, right? Domestic public documents that are sealed and signed. Well, that's what this employee can do, whoever the employee is, with a VA form 4505 in their record, right? Which, this should be on record with Human Resources, who has one. And who, if they don't have one, then somebody needs to be given one. But because he's going to use the seal of Veterans Affairs, right? It's meeting the criteria of evidence that's self-authenticating, right? A seal purporting to be that of the United States, any state, district, commonwealth, territory, insular possession of the United States, former Panama Zone, trust territory, political subdivision, of any of these entities, a department, agency, or office of any entity named above, and signature purporting to be execution or attestation. Well, you can't get that. You can't go to any of these places and have them put their seal on a document, right? So this is how the Esquires keep us out of the proper jurisdiction that we need to be in, which is the gold flag jurisdiction of the United States, because the United States is under martial law, has been since 1863. Let's talk about that for just a second. All right, so on September 15th, 1863, the President of the United States of America proclaimed, whereas rebellion was existing on 3rd day of March, 1863, still existing, whereas that statute approved on that day, which enacted by the Senate and House Representatives during the present insurrection, the President of the United States, whenever in his judgment public safety may require, is authorized to suspend the privilege of writ of habeas corpus in any case throughout the United States or any part thereof. So now, therefore, I, Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States, do hereby proclaim and make known to all whom it may concern that the privilege of writ of habeas corpus is suspended throughout the United States in the several cases before mentioned. Well, if you're going to suspend the writ of habeas corpus, you've suspended the Constitution. You can't just suspend part of it, period. So that puts you under martial law. And if we go and look at the Lieber Code real quick, right, instructions for the government of the armies of the United States in the field, also issued by Lincoln, but issued as the commander-in-chief. All right, it says in Article 2 that martial law does not cease during the hostile occupation, except by special proclamation ordered by the commander-in-chief or by special mention in the Treaty of Peace concluding the war. Well, there was no Treaty of Peace after the Civil War. There was no Treaty of Peace after World War I. As far as I know, there wasn't a Treaty of Peace after World War II. They may pretend to try to do these things, but they never quite get them done. And so martial law still exists. And the evidence is the gold fringe flag, which is regulated by Army Regulation 840-10. Right? People tell you the gold fringe flag is an amity flag. It's like the frickin' Navy doesn't have gold on their flags. You ever see a ship? You see gold on it? Well, no, then it's not a gold fringe flag, is it? All right, unauthorized use of official flags. Well, the flag of the United States is an official flag, and there is no law that permits the sale, loan, donation of flags, guidelines, or streamers to individuals or organizations not in military service, except as indicated 1 and 2 below. Display of use of flags, presently or formerly carried by U.S. Army units by other than the office, individual, organization for which it is authorized is prohibited, except as indicated in 3. Well, the Army carries gold-fringed flags. Right now, it talked about, as indicated below, and then it talks about, that was in 3, which meetings, a ceremony, da-da-da-da. But it talks about retired generals. Sorry, see Chapter 3, Section 2. We'll get to that in a second. Those designed private or outdoor display will be made of nylon. Okay, so they're going to right, so this is ones on buildings, right? Flags designed primarily for indoor display will normally be made of banner rayon without a fringe. That's interesting. Because when we get further down here, the private official use and display of position colors, distinguished flags, individual flags of retired generals may be displayed as specified in Chapter 3. That really isn't the stuff I want to talk about anyway. So I want to get down here to this, where it says in Section 2.3. Right? There it is. Where's 2.3? There's 2.2, 2.3. Where it talks about national flags listed below are for indoor display and for use in ceremonies and parades. For these purposes, the flag of the United States will be rayon banner cloth, heavyweight nylon, trimmed on 3 sides with gold yellow fringe, 2 1/2 inches wide. Then it gives these 2 different sizes. And then it says authorized for indoor display. The flag of the United States is authorized for indoor display for each, right, officer headquarters, organization, battalion size, military offices, military courtrooms, U.S. Army elements, subordinate elements, the U.S. Army, ROTC, senior executive service. In other words, everything that is attached to is military. Right now, here's the Supreme Court of the United States courtroom. It's got 2 gold fringe flags in it. Right? Local courts got gold fringe flags. United States District Court's got gold fringe flags. Township supervisors got a gold fringe flag. County commissioners got a gold fringe flag. Mayor's got a gold fringe flag. Governor's got a gold fringe flag. All these different elements have gold fringe flags, which means they're attached to the frickin' military. It's a military government. Right? It's not elected by the people. It's a military government. Now, maybe the military-industrial complex has taken over this, this military government, but that's what it is, because there's gold fringe flags everywhere. Okay, so we're almost done. Veterans Affairs, just real quick, right? I already talked about the biggie, 38 CFR 2.3. Right, the Code of Federal Regulations, these are the regulations that the VA has to follow. If they haven't followed this, then they're defrauding the United States. It's really that simple. And they're defrauding the United States is denying me this benefit that I'm supposed to have to be able to use somebody with the seal of the VA to witness my documents so I can use them in court or whatever I need to use them for. Right? That I can point out, hey, there's an offense against the United States, right? I want to point it out to somebody. Right? I can't put in a criminal complaint because I can't get the right authority on my documents. So, but this isn't the only section, right? But Title 38 of the Code of Federal Regulations is what we're talking about. Well, in that Title 38, under Section 14, which has to do with claims, it talks about representation of Department of Veterans Affairs claimants, recognition of organizations, accredited representatives, attorneys, agents, rules of practice, information concerning fees, da-da-da-da. Now, you got 3 different people. You got an attorney, you have a representative, and you have an agent. Well, since the VA is an agency, I say that they would be the one providing the agent. That's who this person is that should be doing this. He would be my agent. Right? But they also have it so that you can be represented by these other people. And so what does it talk about? Recognition of an organization. Authorized officers of an organization may request recognition by letter to the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. national organizations. An organization may be recognized as a national organization if it was recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs, yada, yada, yada. So basically what they're talking about are these things that fall under Title 36 United States Code, patriotic and national observance ceremonies and organizations, right? Patriotic and national organizations. And so if you ever dealt with the VA, right, you would be thinking that you're going to go talk to the American Legion is going to have a veterans service officer, or the DAV has a veteran service officer, or these different organizations have veteran service officers, right? So I went to the DAV, which is Disabled American Veterans, right? And each of these then has got, they have a charter. These are actually federal corporations chartered by Congress. And because they're part of the United States, or they should be. Except they didn't do everything they're supposed to, because there's this one little hitch: service of process. As a condition to the exercise of any power or privilege granted in this chapter, the corporation shall file with the Secretary of State or other designated official of each state in which the chapter is organized the name and address of the agent in that state to whom legal process or demands against the corporation may be served. Now, if I go look at corporations under Michigan, there is no disabled American veterans, using that name by itself. That's the full legal name of the corporation. All these other things are just add-ons, like different posts and so forth. But it's not the state representative. So the state representative for disabled American veterans, right, the state's charter didn't file with the state who to serve legal service on. If they had, they would be listed in this business entity results, which is what this thing exists for. So it didn't happen. So, see right here, it says they were supposed to give them these associations give it to the VA a copy of the Articles of Incorporation, Constitution, Charter, and bylaws of the organization as appropriate, a copy of the last financial statement, statement indicating the use of the organization's funding, maintain a policy, So anyways, they're supposed to be keeping track of these people, and they're not doing it. Okay, so especially in the VA health side, right, they're responsible for all your personal information. I mean, this is confidential. You can go to My Healthy Vet, if you have the ability to, right? You have to sign up for it and pull off a personal information report, and it's confidential. Well, that, you got confidential, secret, and top secret. Those are the three classifications of security classification. So this has got a security classification to it. Well, look at, it has my name as Rutluski Robert A. That's not my name. And it's got my birth date, September 1st. That's not my birth date. Right? So there's a record for Rutluski Robert A. with this birth date. That's not mine. But when I go onto my site to pull it off, this is what I got. And then, went further to, if you check all the boxes and say you want information on everything that they offer, well, this is what you have. And some of it have DOD service information, as we'll see. Let's just kind of go through here real quick. All right, so this is supposed to be self-reported demographics, things that I reported to them, apparently. Right? Well, I never told them my name was Robert A. Rutluski. I never told them I was a patient. Or I never told them my birth date was September 1st. Yet all these things are on here. Right? Then I go down here, and this is VA demographics. Well, they say my name is Robert A. Rutluski, and my birthday is September 1st. Right? But they don't have a place of birth for me. It's like, well, how come they don't know where where I'm from. Don't have a religion. Don't have an ethnicity. Right? They have my county as 81. I don't live in County 81. I live in Kent County. Right? I don't live in USA. This is the United States of America. Right? I live in the United States. I'm not in King George's jurisdiction. And on and on and on. It's got page after page of stuff that, mine's mainly blank. I don't have a lot of things in there. But you get down to the end, and you have this section on, right, from the DOD service, right? It's got my rank wrong. My first time I'm prior service. My first time in, I left as a sergeant, and my second time as a staff sergeant. Right, but it doesn't have any occupation code for me. No details on pay, separation pay. I should have been paid separation pay according to my DD 214, but there's nothing on here about it. On and on and on. So it's just all full of errors. Well, some of the other documents I've gotten from the VA, right, that, like this one says my name is Robert Ritluski. But on the other side of it, it says my name is Robert Allen Ritluski. I got something in the mail. I got some glasses from Wyoming VA Health Center. It says I'm Robert Ritluski. Right, but I get mail from the same place. It says I'm Robert Allen Ritluski. I got some tax information for Robert A. Ritluski. And they want me, they want me to fill out this form. I don't know why it's not in there. Oh, here we go. For Robert Ritluski, right? This is the letter inside for Robert A. Ritluski telling Robert Ritluski to file this document here into my taxes to show I have coverage, right, as Robert A. Ritluski. With my Social Security number 6794. Well, that's not my Social Security number. The whole thing isn't in there. It's got no date of birth. Right? Robert A. Ritluski. This is a fucking lie. That's not who I am. But this is how they do it. This is their scheme. They use multiple names, different versions of your different versions of your Social Security number, so forth and so on. And what was the last one here? Oh, okay. I got a VA ID card for Robert A. Ritluski. Well, I never gave him that name. Right? This is what they gave me. So it's just, an indication, flag officers, of the shit that's happening at the VA that, especially if you're a retired flag officer, well, you're in the same boat I am. How come there's something we can't do? How come we can't file a complaint into the military under the UCMJ about this shit? Because they're defrauding the United States. So, I mean, this stuff is a HIPAA violation, or it's which has to do with your private information, with under the medical side, or it's just negligence because they have records of my name in 3 or 4 different versions. They got my wrong birth date. I have to say they did change that because there's another VA report. Let me look at this last one I did. Right here. Because they keep upgrading these things as you go and do more things. Now this one has me as Robert Allen Ritluski with the birth date of September 5th. They got that part fixed. Right? But it still says that I told them I'm Robert A. Ritluski and that I'm a patient. And there's a thing about saying you're a patient compared to being a veteran or service member, which are other things that you could be, your relationship to the VA. My relationship to the VA, I'm a veteran. Right? What made me a patient? Because I went there to have a checkup? That made me a patient? I don't know that that's necessarily true. I hear they say again that I'm Robert Allen Ritluski, that I have no place of birth, and that my county is 81. Well, Kent County, even if you were to do the numbers for the counties in Michigan, 81 isn't one of them. Right? So this thing has errors and omissions in it. It says I got a 10% code, but it has no eligibility code, but I have 10% connected eligibility. And let's go look at that last part real quick. I want to see if they changed this, since I hadn't really looked at this yet. Military. No, still a corporal. Right? This date's wrong. My DD-214 says it's the 16th, not the 17th. So, again, it doesn't have what my MOS was. Doesn't have anything about separation pay, retirement, or any of these things listed. And so there's just all sorts of errors and omissions. That was the point of the video, was to say, hey, there's a bunch of things wrong, flag officers. Right? Veterans Affairs is defrauding the United States. Our Constitution is suspended, and the nation's been invaded by Esquires. So we need your help, right? Because you can bring charges, or allow us to bring charges under court-martial convening authority. But we need you to do that. And so if you have any suggestions, please contact me at courtofrecord@AOL.com. I'm happy to do it, whatever it takes. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. You all have a great day, and thank you for your time, sirs, ma'ams. Carry on. Have a great day. See you now.